We begin in Arlington, Texas, where on the second to last game of the season, Aaron Judge, sitting on 61, finally does it, passes Roger Maris, and now sits all alone for the American League single-season record. How will history look back on 62? It is where we begin your cold open.
Here's the 1-1. Swung on. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Number 62 to set the new American League record. Aaron Judge hits his 62nd. All the Yankees out of the dugout to greet him. Just think of it. 3 Yankee right fielders. The Babe hitting 60 and 27. The Jolly Roger hitting 61 and 61. And now Aaron Judge hits his 62nd home run, the most home runs any American leaguer has hit in a single season. And the American League has been alive for 120 years. This is Judgment Day. Case closed.
I never tried to think about it as pressure. I tried to enjoy every single moment and, not really think about, hey, they're all on the feet for you to go see you hit a home run. I try to think about, hey, they're here to see an exciting ball game and see something special. So, just having that mindset kind of helped me, stay pretty calm.
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending.
It's DA's top story.
Here he goes.
It's your cold open.
John Sterling with your call of history. Aaron Judge after 62. It's interesting what happened 24 years ago because it still holds such a control over the sport. The summer of 98, the home run chase of 98, McGwire and Sosa trading home runs night by night, series by series throughout the summer, captivated a nation. And many people will point to the home run explosion from McGwire and Sosa in 98, and maybe to a lesser degree, Barry Bonds a couple of years later, and say that saved baseball. And in the short term, it may have, as the nation kind of recoiled from baseball because of the 1994 lost World Series and the strike of 94. However, while that might have in the short term, quote, saved baseball's popularity, it certainly was a huge turbocharge to popularity, to attention, to ratings, to buzz. 24 years later, it still hangs over the sport. Because as Herculean as 62 is, it should have been bigger. It should have been louder. It should have been more amazing. But we all were trapped in the, well, what is this? Is this the record? Is this the clean record? Do you recognize 73? Do you sound like an idiot for not recognizing 73? We all know what happened to Sosa, Bonds, and McGwire. What exactly is this? And the tidy part about it has been, well, at least we can say it's the American League home run record. But I would ask this question. What is that? Because the American League plays the National League constantly now. These are not two separate leagues. And it's not like we say, well, the AFC's single-season rushing record is, or the Western Conference's point-scoring record is. These are all the same league, and so we've tried to chop this up to make it cleaner because stats in baseball have always been the cleanest part about the sport. We know home run totals. We know batting averages. We know total hits. We know wins and strikeouts. The tallies of the numbers are absolute. They're black and white. We can register all of them and compare them over time. And yet, the steroid era numbers are anything but. They are not resolute. They are not definitive. They are murky. They are cloudy. They are controversial. And so you compare and overlay 62 with the murky 73, the cloudy 70, the controversial 66. And it's hard to figure out contextually what this is. I would say if you're looking for a clean definition of what 2022 Aaron Judge is, it is the most spectacular hitting season of all time. That's what it is. It's more impressive than Bonds' 2001. It's more impressive than Mickey Mantle's Triple Crown or Frank Robinson's Triple Crown or Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown. It is more impressive than all of that because Aaron Judge, presumably clean, hit more home runs than anybody else that was also presumably clean and had a better batting average than any of those home run champs and drove in more RBIs than anybody else in the American League. And that in and of itself means that this is historic. It is something that we have never seen and, depending on how long you live, may never see again. But in terms of what it means for the all-time home runs single season, I think it's cloudy. And I think that that's just something that is the reality of Major League Baseball. It's the reality of dealing with what the sport allowed to happen and then went whole hog in trying to clean up. And I talked about this yesterday. Baseball, unlike football, never did anything about steroids besides Faye Vincent executing a memo that said, hey, don't do these. But football, even if they didn't have their heart into it, made the attempt to clean up the game, test for steroids, ban steroids, going back to the 70s. And so it was something that even if it happened under cloak and dagger. For baseball, it was out in the open. They didn't want to know. They weren't going to ask. It was part of the culture. And it got so big and so obnoxious and so in your face that once it had to be cleaned up, cleaning it up would end up souring all of the things that happened during that era, which is still going on. And I think if you went back to 1999, 2000, 01, 02, when baseball knew steroids were an issue and tried to implement testing and realized that they were losing the trust of their audience. I think if you would have asked, okay, when we do the Mitchell report and we do the investigations and we finally get testing, do you think 25 years from now it's still a problem or will people have moved on? They would have said people will move on, but we haven't. We haven't because the numbers from prior to the steroid era still mean too much. They don't mean a whole hell of a lot in every other sport, but they still mean so much in baseball and will always. And so, as great as last night was, as amazing as Judge's chase has been, it still should have been more. It still should not have been controversial or questioned or debated in the context of, yeah, but it should have just been holy bleeping bleep. Can you believe this guy did it? But the sport will forever be trapped. Forever be trapped by the steroid numbers. 855-212-4CBS on Twitter, DA on CBS. I will say that for anybody to have done this, Judge is a really good representative of the type of guy you want to do it because he has really never been impressed by himself. He has never lauded his own accomplishments, and he has never made it about anything but team wins. He's shirked from the spotlight. He has not wanted to talk about the chase. He's wanted to talk about helping his team win, even though he was in some ways disrespected by the organization before the season with the contract situation. He never acted like he was shoving it in Brian Cashman's face or to the Yankees' faces. He always took a very grounded, very ego-less approach to this whole thing, and that makes him a pretty cool type of athlete to have done it. I think that makes it even more enjoyable to have watched him do this.